Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Game Week 3 League 1 review. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 200 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below on how your team got on over this week. And there was a couple of surprising results, a few shock red cards in there as well. But let's waste no further time and get straight into it. We'll start out firstly then with the early kickoff between Burton Albion and Port Vale. As I just did mention there was some bizarre red cards, and the red card for me with George Byers obviously comes 15 minutes into the game, and it's one of them challenges where in the modern day with how officiating goes and probably by the letter of the law, it is a red card. But my problem is, who actually wants tackles like that to be a red card? Who actually wants basically slide tackling to not be allowed in football? Because I feel like you always see fans when they're on the receiving end of these red cards being like, oh, it's never a red card, where probably by the letter of the law it is. But then you have a big debate on social media talking about whether it is or it isn't a red card. But the actual debate should be, why is that a red card? Why are the rules so soft these days? And I'm not saying that you can kung fu kick somebody around the throat and we just play on, but for me, a red card for that, I do think it does seem extremely soft. Both teams had some decent half chances in the first half. Second half, Burton obviously piling the pressure on. Marco Morosi made a couple of decent saves towards the end of the game. Obviously, both sides were chopping and changing their team, rolling the dice, making the substitutions, all that sort of stuff. But looking at the stats from the game, then it seemed there was, quite a high value of entertainment in 26 shots, but only 4 of them being on target. Burton dominated the possession, as you would expect, with them obviously having a man extra for 75 plus minutes. In terms of the league table, I'm not going to say it's starting to take shape because we are still only 3 games in, but you're starting to see certain patterns develop. And with these two teams, you'd expect to be in around 15th to 20th come the end of the season. I think on the whole, Burton have had a pretty solid start to the campaign. Port Vale probably should have a couple more points on the board, but I don't think they've had the easiest run of fixtures so far, so they'll be hoping to win. I can only assume they'll be at home on Tuesday, but I think out of the 4 promoted sides, Port Vale, the only ones not to have won a game yet, so they'll be hoping just to take that one off and get up and running for the campaign. Mansfield Town got off the mark with their first league win of the campaign in the early kickoff away at Exeter. Firstly, whoever's picking these kickoff times, that is absolutely mental to make the Mansfield fans get all the way down to Exeter for a 12:30 kickoff. It's not even like they were on the main event on Sky for the early kickoff. It was absolutely ridiculous. But Mansfield did take the lead just before half-time. George Morris whips in a corner, right-footed in-swinger, and Fraser Blake Tracy practically has a free header. It's really poor from an Exeter point of view, but a well-worked set-piece routine. Going into the second half, Exeter are awarded a penalty with around 15 minutes left on the clock. I do think that is, again, another extremely harsh decision from the referee. It's not like he can really put his hand anywhere else. It definitely does hit his hand, I'm not denying that. And I think because it's a shot going towards goal, that's probably why the referee has given it, but it's not like his arm's all the way out there. It's like, not that you can really see me, but it's practically next to him. I do think it is a pretty harsh penalty, but then it was well converted by Josh McGuinness. He wrapped it into the bottom corner, and then Will Evans would score the winner with just 4 minutes left on the clock, making that trip down to Exeter well worth it for I think over 600 Mansfield fans, so fair play to them. They've certainly been getting a lot of credit over the last week or so, and that's great to see. As I'm sure you all know, I do have a little bit of a soft spot for Mansfield, but Aaron Lewis does cross on the left-hand side low towards Will Evans, and he just stabs a boot at it, and eventually it trickles over the line at 4-1. Looking at the stats from the game, then obviously Exeter did dominate possession. There wasn't really many chances in the game, just 12 total shots in the match. But looking at the league table then, in terms of Exeter and Mansfield, they are pretty much the exact same as of right now, only goal difference is slightly separating them. Obviously, Exeter 15th, Mansfield a 16th. You would anticipate both of these sides are going to be in and around here. Maybe Exeter a bit lower, Mansfield maybe a little bit higher, but I don't think it's the worst result in the world for Exeter, but it is a great result for Mansfield. Have obviously had a pretty rough start to the campaign, losing away at Burton, then at home to Doncaster. It was important that they didn't lose this one, and they've only gone and picked up the 3 points. So with the win against Chesterfield as well in midweek, they'll be looking to build on that going into Tuesday. As for Exeter, it's not the worst thing in the world. You know, you smash Blackpool, you've clearly got some decent players in that squad. You've got to make sure you bounce back on Tuesday as well. Into the Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs then. Barnsley and Bolton played out a 1-1 draw in a big promotion playoff chasing potential at 6 points. David McGoldrick opened up the scoring at 2 minutes into the second half. A great through ball from Luke O'Connell and a well-taken goal from McGoldrick, but I do think Teddy Sharman-Lowe will be very disappointed not to have saved it, getting beaten at his near post far too easily there. He wasn't somebody that I rated particularly highly at Doncaster last season, and I was a little bit surprised to see him get the jump up to Bolton, not even like a bottom-end League One side. I think he'd probably need another season in League Two, so the fact that he's gone to Bolton, I'm not 100% sure by that, and, you know, he was largely at fault for that goal. He definitely was, you know, he 100% should save it. And then obviously just 5 minutes into the second half, Jorgensen is sent off for, not 5 minutes in second half, sorry, 5 minutes after the goal, Jorgensen is sent off for a second bookable offence. His first yellow card, it's just a little bit unnecessary. He doesn't really need to be getting involved in that sort of stuff with Mason Burstow. You know, he's doing something in front of the fans where he just kind of blasts the ball at Burstow. It's a fair challenge, just kind of get on with it, but they're having a bit of a back and forth, and eventually they're grabbing each other, so obviously he gets his first yellow for that. And the second one, again, he's won the ball, he's played the ball, but it's that follow through again where he stood on someone's foot. It's a little bit high, it is around more the ankle area rather than just stepping on his toe, and obviously the referee then does produce the second yellow card. Bolton eventually do find an equaliser through James McAtee. A right-footed outswinger is floated into the box from a corner. It's kind of headed down, and then James McAtee he's kind of backing into the keeper, and he just pokes it into the back of the net. After that, Bolton had some decent chances. I think is it Murphy Cooper in between the sticks for Barnsley pulled off a couple of decent saves from that point, and obviously Jack Shepherd came straight back into the side. There's some real talent in this Barnsley squad. I'm sure they're very good to watch, and they're going to be good to watch for the remainder of this season. By all accounts, Barnsley did quite well to shut down the wingers of Bolton, because Gale and especially Kozia Dewberry, two very, very talented players for this level. In terms of the league table then, obviously Barnsley's 100% record hasn't been maintained, but it's still been a good start to the season, winning away at Plymouth, winning at home to Burton in the manner they did, now picking up a point at home to Bolton with 10 men. Obviously the discipline's not been amazing so far this season, but I do think they've not been the most blatant of red cards. As for Bolton, it has been a pretty inconsistent start to the season, losing away at Stockport, then winning at home to Plymouth, and then drawing away at Barnsley. But I don't think picking up 4 points from them 3 fixtures is the end of the world. Yes, obviously they'd rather have won all 3, you know, stating the obvious there, but it could have been a lot worse for them. They could have had a much easier start as well. It's a decent point for both sides. I would probably say better for Barnsley maybe because they had 10 men, but Bolton with the away side, so let me know down below, Barnsley and Bolton fans, were you happy with that point on the whole? Blackpool put the stop to their rot, and they also put the stop to Huddersfield's unbeaten run, or winning run you could say, as they defeated the Terriers 3-2 at home. We'll come on to the league table in a moment, but I am delighted with this result. Nice to see the dog botherers be pegged down a little bit of a peg. Is that the right saying? Do you peg down a peg? I don't know. Ben Wiles opened up the scoring on 4 minutes. He takes a shot on the edge of the box, and I think it takes some sort of deflection, and Bailey Peacock-Farrell again, he's just stood there in no man's land looking absolutely clueless. I mean, goodness me, how is he a professional footballer? 9 minutes later though, Blackpool would equalise. I think it's Jack Watmore just completely misjudges the bounce of the ball. Niall Ennis running through on goal, left-footed shot. I think he seems to scuff his shot into the ground, and eventually it bobbles into the bottom corner. 5 minutes later, Lee Evans produces an absolute thunderbolt on the edge of the area, beats Owen Goodman at his near post at 4-2-1, and then just 8 minutes after that, Niall Ennis would convert with some brilliant strikers, instinctive sort of poacher's finish. I think it goes through the legs of Owen Goodman at 4-3-1, and you're thinking, where has this Blackpool been in the first 2 games of the season? Why are Huddersfield looking so defensively frail after being brilliant in the opening 2 matches? 5 minutes after that goal, Lyndon Gooch would pull one back. Some nice counter-attacking football really from Huddersfield. Eventually falls to Gooch inside the box, and he rifles it into the roof of the net. And then 5 minutes after that, Niall Ennis would see himself turn from hero to villain after scoring a brace. He then receives a straight red card. I do think it's late, it's reckless, it's a striker's sort of challenge when you've not got the ball under control. I don't think you can really have too many complaints about that. I hope I'm just thinking in my head, he's probably going to be back for the Bradford game, which is obviously just typical, isn't it? But hopefully he gets maybe some sort of extended ban because he's pretty good at football. Both sides huffed and puffed. You know, Huddersfield had some good chances in that second half, but just nothing really too clear-cut, and they couldn't rescue a point in the end. As you would expect, Huddersfield were dominating possession, loads of shots, but just only 3 on target. They've got Bailey Peacock-Fowler in goal, and you've made him make 1 save in the entire match. That is nowhere near good enough, but great for Blackpool to finally get the monkey off their back, having spent a lot of money in the summer, especially on the likes of Fraser Horsfall, for example, to have been so defensively frail in the opening couple of games of the season. That'll be nice to finally get a win, start scoring some goals as well, move up to 17th in the table. As for Huddersfield, they're now below Bradford in the table, which, to say the money they've spent to be below little Bradford City, they don't care about us. That's embarrassing, really, isn't it, lads? And speaking of Bradford City, we had a brilliant 2-1 victory at home to Luton Town, and thoroughly deserved. Again, we have had a brilliant start to the season. We should be 3 wins from 3, and it's not like we're playing a load of pub teams at the bottom end of the table. No, we've played some heavy hitters so far. We beat Wycombe at home, we beat Luton at home, and there is nobody at Valley Parade that I fear playing this season. Absolutely nobody. We were brilliant again. At times, obviously, we had to defend. You know, there's a lot of money that's been spent in that Luton squad. There's a lot of quality in there. We had to stand up, be counted, even without Joe Wright, as obviously he's going to miss the next couple of weeks through that concussion protocol. Aidan Baldwin came in and we looked just as solid at the back. Alexander is a brilliant manager. We played brilliant football, and we thoroughly deserved the 3 points in this one. Obviously, I can't remember that guy's first name, Ali. I don't know his first name off the top of my head, but he was very lucky not to have been sent off, and that's why he was subbed off in the first half, because obviously he picked up a yellow card, which he can have no complaints with. It was clearly stopping a promising counter-attack, and then he was about a second late to a foul on Ibu Toure, and I think was very lucky not to have received a second yellow card for that, and he was pretty much straight away subbed off after that. We opened the scoring through at Stephen Humphreys. I'm baffled by how Anthony Sarcevic has not been given the assist for this, but Curtis Tilt puts in a cross on the left-hand side. He pushed really far forward up the pitch to get that ball into the box. He did take a slight deflection, and Anthony Sarcevic is applying the pressure, gets in an awkward position for the defender, who lets the ball bounce over his head. Sars then squares it. I think he goes through the goalkeeper's legs, and Stephen Humphreys taps home from 2 yards out. There's been a lot of talk already this season, and especially in the build-up to this game, talking about Stephen Humphreys and what is his best position, and basically, you know, you had loads of Barnsley fans on social media. They were absolutely raging that Stephen Humphreys was playing as a striker at Bradford City, but that was a real striker's instinctive finish. And it's not a case of, oh, Humphreys wants to play on the left. You know, there's clearly been a conversation, as Humphreys came out and said in the post-match, that he doesn't want to play as a traditional number 9, back-to-goal, target man sort of striker. He likes to have that free roam to play down the middle, and that's what he's got in this Graham Alexander side. That kind of both parties. Alexander has said, if you want to play on the left wing, don't sign for us. And Humphreys has said, if you're going to play me as a target man, I'm not going to sign for you. So why would both of these parties be saying these things if Humphreys was then just going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to sulk and play on the wing? No, that's not what he wants at all. He's very good as a striker. I'm delighted he's got his first goal. He's come unlucky on a few occasions as well so far, and it was just well taken, and hopefully that can be the start of his goal scoring run. But Sass should have been credited with the assist for that. 3 minutes into the second half, we would double our lead. A great challenge from Matt Pennington on the halfway line, and some nice build up between Northfield and Sarcevic down at the right hand side. Northfield putting in a low cross into the box, and Bobby Poynton gets in front of his man and finishes 4-2-0. He goes to our top scorer for the season as well, and obviously we start making some changes, people coming on off the bench having a real impact. They did pull a goal back though with 4 minutes left on the clock, which did make it a little bit nervy for the last couple of minutes. Cohen Bramwell swings in a ball from the left hand side, and Kuda, I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation, but a brilliant header to be fair. You know, we should be doing better and be challenging for the header. We can't be allowing a free header, but the leap he got on it and the power he got behind the header, fair play. You know, that is the quality that you would expect in the Luton squad. But I must admit, again, similar to Wycombe, I expected more from Luton. As we all know, the teams are going to dominate possession. That's fine, because their keeper just kept kicking the ball straight to us. I don't understand why he'd ever play out from the back against the Graham Alexander press, because a lot of teams, especially at this level, can't deal with it. Yes, they had more possession, but we created way more XG, way more shots on target, way more big chances as well. We totally dominated the game. Yes, Luton had their spells. Yes, they had the half chances. Sam Walker had to make a couple of saves late on in the game, but absolutely brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Tuesday will be a real tough test for us, going away to Stockport County. Despite their results looking good on paper, their performances haven't been amazing, and I don't think we've actually beat Stockport since they've been promoted back into the Football League. I think we've had 3 draws and a defeat, so I'm looking forward to that one on Tuesday. But we remain, I think we've actually gone up into 6th in the playoffs, obviously above that little club just a couple miles down the road in Huddersfield. And obviously, yeah, there's a big gap for them to man at the moment. Make sure they don't fall down it. As for Luton, they had a positive start to the season in terms of results, but performances, they've kind of been papered over the cracks by the results, and I do think it's going to take time. Some signings need to come in, some players maybe need to leave the club as well who are still there from the Premier League days. Obviously, just I think it was it April 2024 that Luton were playing Man City away, and then obviously now in August 2025 they're playing Bradford away and losing. It goes to show the job that Graham Alexander has done. What a manager, one of the best in this division, and a fantastic 3 points for us. Cardiff City dispatched of Rotherham United pretty comfortably with a 3-0 victory. The scoring was opened just before half-time as Cardiff whip in a right-footed in-swinging corner, and Selesh basically just has a free header 6 yards out into the back of the net. As simple as you like. The Rotherham defenders and goalkeeper might as well not have bothered. They might as well packed up and just gone straight home. So poor to concede. So it's a cheap, easy goal. 10 minutes into the second half, Ashford scores an absolute worldie, to be fair. Cuts in on that left foot, I think just inside the penalty area on near kind of the corner of the area, and he whips it into the top corner. A brilliant finish. And then 5 minutes after that, Rotherham are trying to play out from the back. They overplayed as a mix-up between, I think, is it Jules and the Rotherham left back, and eventually it falls to Salesh, who just squares it simply to Ruben Colwell, who taps home for 3-0. Open goal. You're never really going to miss it from there. Rotherham made a load of changes late on. That's not Rotherham, is it? That's Cardiff. They made a load of changes to keep things fresh for Tuesday, but a brilliant victory, and I knew Cardiff would dispatch of Rotherham pretty comfortably at home. That leaves the Bluebirds in 7th. They're currently, it doesn't leave them in 7th. I've no idea where I've got that from. I was looking at 7 points. It leaves them in 2nd on 7 points, obviously 2 behind Stevenage at the moment. They are one of, I think, is it just 6 teams that haven't lost so far? Yeah, just one of 6 teams that are still yet to lose. They've only conceded the 1 goal as well so far, and that was obviously a penalty against Peterborough. So it's been a positive start to the season on the whole for Cardiff. As for Rotherham, despite beating 10-man at Port Vale on the opening day, is now back-to-back defeats. Away at Stevenage, and then obviously away at Cardiff as well. But I don't know about Rotherham. I backed them obviously to go down at the start of the campaign, but it's not the easiest of fixtures going away to Stevenage or Cardiff. So see how they get on in the next couple of matches before I really judge Rotherham, but I'm pretty sure I backed them for relegation, and for a good reason. Doncaster Rovers and Wycombe Wanderers played out a 1-1 draw. The scoring was opened at 11 minutes into the second half by Billy Sharp. Wycombe are trying to play the ball out from the back, and it's yet another error from, I think, is it Mickey Van Sass? Obviously, he came in from abroad over in the summer, and he's already made a number of errors which have cost Wycombe points. It's cost them another 2 points in this one. He cost them 2 points against Bradford with the first goal that he should do a lot better with, and here Wycombe are just trying to overplay, and it's just another example of this possession-based, tippy-tappy style, Pep Guardiola-esque, which just very rarely works. There's a lot more risks that are coming out of it than reward, and obviously Billy Sharp doing what he does best, even at 39 years of age, still scoring goals for Doncaster Rovers. Obviously, Wycombe do pull a goal back on the 71st minute. Doncaster just can't clear the ball. It's one of them where they're throwing bodies at it, they're trying to put blocks on the line, and eventually, I think, is it Armando Quaterna, the former Fleetwood Town and Crawley Town man, is the one who fires into the back of the net, and both teams are forced to settle for a point. I think Doncaster probably a little bit frustrated again that it was not all 3. Looking at the stats from the game, Donny did only have 1 shot on target though. Obviously, Wycombe did have more possession, but Doncaster again did have more shots. Looking at the lineup from this game, then from a Doncaster point of view, they've kind of gone with a little bit of a mix of the team that obviously battered Middlesbrough, and then the team that's obviously had a great start to the season for them. But I don't think drawing at home to Wycombe is the worst result in the world. Looking at the league table, then it does have Doncaster up in 5th at this moment in time. Obviously, us and Doncaster have had the exact same start to the season, so shouldn't we be above them on alphabetical? Shouldn't technically Bradford be 5th right now? I don't really know how it works. It's probably down to discipline, isn't it? We have had a fair few bookings so far. As for Wycombe, they've had a pretty poor start to the season, but they finally picked up their first point on the road. They're not in the relegation zone, just on goal difference, and obviously then they've scored a couple more than at Northampton at the moment, but I don't think it's been an awful start to the season for Wycombe, losing away at Bradford on the opening day, then losing at home to Stockport, drawing away at Doncaster. It's not been awful. It's more the performances that I think have concerned the Wycombe fans rather than the results. But Doncaster, great start to the season for them. Same with Bradford, with they both snapped your hands off for 7 points from our opening 3 matches. Plenty to build on for Doncaster. Lots still to work on though for Wycombe Wanderers, and I'm sure maybe both sides might be a bit frustrated that they've not picked up the 3 points in that one. Just like in the playoffs last campaign, Leighton Orient and Stockport County played out a 2-2 draw at Brisbane Road. Stockport went 2-0 up in the first half, but threw it away late on to only pick up a point in this one. Nathan Lowe opened the scoring on 29 minutes, just 12 minutes after he was subbed on for the injured Callum Camps. Corey O'Keefe with a great clipped, lofted ball into the box, and Nathan Lowe with a great towering header into that near post. And just 7 minutes later, Joe Holloway would head home a free kick from Ollie Norwood. It's quite a far out free kick, but Norwood's got that sort of quality to whip into the box, and a great diving header from Holloway. And you're thinking Stockport 2-0 up, they're going to go 3 wins from 3 matches. But Aaron Connolly pulled the goal back 12 minutes into the second half. A great first time side-footed finish into the bottom corner, I think from outside the penalty area. Orient rolled the dice. They made a load of changes, and eventually Ollie O'Neill would score the equaliser in the 93rd minute. A great through ball from Tyreek Bakinson, who obviously came on just 14, I was going to say just 12 minutes, but just 14 minutes before the goal. Great through ball, and Ollie O'Neill keeps his composure to finish past Corey O'Dye. Looking at the stats from the game then, and hearing Dave Challoner's post-match interview and all that sort of stuff, it sounds like he was quite happy with the point based on the performance, but he was fuming at the performance and the way that they played, which scares me as a Bradford City fan. Was with us obviously playing them on Tuesday, I'm now feeling like they're going to get a big reaction. But they only had 29% of the ball. They just stopped playing in the second half, according to Dave Challoner. Started doing what they wanted, and yeah, I am a little bit nervous now going into Tuesday. Orient will probably be a little bit disappointed looking at these stats that they've not gone on and actually won the match. You saw when they scored the equaliser, it was straight away, let's get the ball, get back to the halfway line and go and try and find a winner. But I would say it's still been a good start to the season for Leighton Orient. Yes, they've had obviously one of each so far in their opening 3 matches, a loss, a win and a draw, but no doubt come the end of the season they'll be in and around this top 6 conversation. As for Stockport, they have obviously had the back-to-back wins at home to Bolton and away to Wycombe. They've now picked up a point on the road away at Leighton Orient, but they'll be disappointed that obviously they didn't see it out for all 3 points. Tuesday's a big game though against Bradford, who are also high-flying at this moment in time, but you know, away from the still question marks over that. So it'll be interesting to see what the score does finish, but a betting man probably backs the home side in that game. There was plenty of drama in Lincoln as the Imps, I was about to say brush past Plymouth, but it wasn't as comfortable as that with a 3-2 victory. Tom Bayliss opened up the scoring on 6 minutes with a very well executed left-footed volley on the edge of the penalty area right into the bottom corner, and it took until just before the hour mark to see the second goal. I think a cross comes into the box from Rico Hackett, header towards goal, well saved to be fair by the Plymouth goalkeeper, but he can only parry it into the path of James Collins, who then tapped home for 2-0, and just 6 minutes later he would convert a penalty after, I can only assume, for a handball offence. That's the only thing that I could really think of, to be honest with you. And he obviously sent the Plymouth goalkeeper the wrong way, and you're thinking 3-0 up, it's looking pretty comfortable. Well, no, Lincoln made it very hard, to be honest with you. Plymouth got 2 in 2 minutes, 2 well-taken goals, to be fair, from Osene, and then Amechi with a great strike after a well-worked short corner routine. Made it very nervy for the last 10 minutes. Brendan Weirdo, former Fleetwood man, he's not had a great start to the season with Plymouth. Obviously scored an own goal on debut, now being sent off as well for diving. I'm not 100% sure what I make of it myself, to be honest. The one angle that you can see on the highlights sort of package is not really too clear-cut, but you got to probably trust the match officials. I know they're a little bit hard to trust, but having only been booked to 12 minutes before, Weirdo was sent off and obviously will miss the next match. And obviously there was a lot more yellow cards to come after that. It has been an awful start to the season though for Plymouth, but what did they really expect? They've sold a lot of their best players and they've not spent any money. They're only one of 3 teams not to have picked up a single point so far. They've conceded 8 goals, which is the second most in the entire division. Only Blackpool have conceded more. I know they've had a pretty tough start, you know, playing Barnsley, playing Bolton, playing Lincoln, but you've got to pick up your points from somewhere, and they're not even looking competitive in a lot of these games. You know, it was 3-0 up until, the 78th minute? It's all well and good playing when there's 10 minutes to go, but you've got to have the fight from the beginning. It has been a nightmare start to the season for Plymouth. As for Lincoln, they're up in 11th. I anticipate they'll finish probably somewhere around here come the end of the campaign. 2 wins and a loss to start the campaign, and that loss was obviously only because they had 10 men. I think Lincoln have had a great start to the season on the whole. I think they'll be pretty happy with the outcome, especially playing Reading and Plymouth. That's not 2 easy sides to play at home, but a solid start for Lincoln. As for Plymouth, they've got to spend some money or they're going to be in a lot of trouble this year. AFC Wimbledon certainly picked up shock result of the weekend as they went away to Reading and picked up a 2-1 victory. Matty Stevens opened the scoring just after the half-an-hour mark. A great cross into the box from Nathan Asimwe. He's had a great start to life at Wimbledon on loan from Charlton Athletic, but a great cross in and a great header from Matty Stevens, scoring in green and black. It's got shades of his time at Forest Green Rovers, but a well-executed header. And then on the 70th minute, Wimbledon work a free kick very well. It was Brown who was actually originally fouled to win the free kick, and then he took a shot on the edge of the box. I think it takes a big deflection, eventually finds the bottom corner. Obviously, Reading do pull a goal back through Lewis Wing, an absolutely outstanding strike. He's about 30 yards out and he rifles it right in the top corner. He should be playing in the Championship. He's far too good for League One, and Reading, I'm sure, are absolutely delighted that they have got him. But I'm really surprised by how bad the start to the season has been for Reading, and it's been a great last couple of games for Wimbledon, back-to-back wins in the league for them. But looking at the stats from the match, this is a very typical Wimbledon performance. The opposition have created more, they've had more possession, but they've just ground it out and got the job done. Very similar to a lot of their wins last campaign, where they're not creating loads, they're not having a lot of the ball, but they're just getting the job done, and it is effective. I didn't think it would be at this level. I thought they would struggle, but so far they are proving me wrong. Up to 10th in the table now for the Wombles, just 1 point off of the playoffs. Obviously back-to-back wins for them. They've only conceded the 1 goal as well, and that was obviously an own goal. No, they conceded against Reading in this literal game that I'm talking about, but they've conceded 1 goal that's been scored by an opposition player. So it's been a great start to the season for Wimbledon. They're scoring goals as well, which I did think they struggle with this season, but so far that doesn't seem to be a problem. Reading are one of the 3 teams that are yet to pick up a point. Just 1 goal scored so far this season. It was that 30-yard screamer, 3 straight defeats on the bounce, and they're not the hardest fixtures in the world. You know, Lincoln away, Huddersfield at home, and then you've got Wimbledon at home. That's the big one. You know, it has been a really poor start to the season at Reading. Is Paudie O'Connor fit? Is he playing in this defence yet for Reading? No, I don't understand why. Was he on the bench maybe? No, I don't know what's going on with Paudie O'Connor, but they need him back in that team. They'll immediately stop scoring goals, stop conceding goals, because he's very good. I don't really know much about these 2 wingers. Reading fans, let me know down below. Are they any good? I've never heard of them before, and I'm still trying to learn, being a Bradford fan, coming up into League One, about some of these teams' players. But brilliant for Wimbledon. I can't give them enough credit because they have been very good in the last 2 matches, and so far they're proving me and a lot of people very wrong. Stevenage picked up a 2-0 victory at home to Northampton Town. Both goals coming in the second half, and it was kind of same old for the Cobblers, who've just not got any firepower at the top end of the pitch. They cannot convert any half chances that they're creating, not really creating much as it is. And for Stevenage at home, I fully expected them to win this game, and they did, and not as comfortably as what I thought. Dan Kemp did open a scoring on 67 minutes with a diving header, free diving header about 5 yards out. Some really poor marking from Northampton, and then the goal scorer would turn provider just 15 minutes later. He played a nice reverse ball through to Gaston Ahadme, who obviously recently signed on loan from Charlton Athletic. He got a £1 million move there, I think from Ipswich just last season, I want to say, and obviously he wasn't really going to play much in the Championship, so great for him to score on his debut, having only come on just a minute before that. Actually, I've only just seen that then. Obviously Ethan Wheatley has a great chance to pull a goal back for the Cobblers. He's a yard out, maybe 2 yards out, open goal, nobody near him, and somehow puts it off the post. I cannot believe he managed to miss that, but I'm not really sure what they're expecting when they've signed somebody who couldn't even get on the bench for Walsall in the second half of last season, who were absolutely garbage in that period. So I'm not really too sure by Northampton's recruitment strategy. They are a dead cert for relegation for me, unless a lot does change over the next coming weeks. So they didn't even have a single shot on target. They actually had slightly more possession, actually created more shots as well, but Stevenage were definitely the better side in this one. Northampton clearly trying to frustrate Stevenage, but it just didn't work. work, and eventually their quality just did shine through. Stevenage fans, obviously, let me know down below what's the situation with Jake Young at this moment in time, because obviously you signed him for around £250,000, 300 grand from Bradford City last summer, and now he can't even get on your bench. Stevenage are the only side though to have a 100% win record in the league after just 3 matches. Every other club has either drawn or lost at least 1 match. So great start to the season for Stevenage. They've scored 6, just conceded 2, positive 4 goal difference, obviously 9 points, top of the table. They'll be hoping that this form does continue for the remainder of the campaign, and they'll finish on 144 points or whatever it is come the end of the season. But brilliant start to the season for Stevenage. Northampton, it couldn't really have gone any worse. They're in the relegation zone. They've only scored 1 goal. They should be 3 losses from 3. They were very lucky not to lose to Bradford last week, who comfortably had enough chances to win that match. They looked really poor in that game. I'd put a lot of money on Northampton going down unless they sign like 3 strikers and some creative players and basically just a whole new team apart from maybe midfield. I think they're definitely going down this season. They were really poor again in this one, and it's just a bit of a shame. They've not really got the finances to compete in this level, and yeah, they're going down. But away from the negativity of Northampton, brilliant start to the season for Stevenage. Alex Ravelli's doing a very good job there. Peterborough United's misery continued as Wigan's great home form continued. 5 minutes into this match, and the Ticks were ahead. A great cross in from Fraser Murray on the right-hand side, who has had a very good start to the season. And Christian Sadie, I believe, has opened his account for the campaign with a great header. Peterborough will be disappointed again. Such a sloppy goal for them to concede, just not marking inside the area, not working hard enough to stop crosses coming into the box. And the second one scored by, I'm pretty sure it's Jason Kerr. Corner comes into the box, header towards goal, is well saved by the Peterborough goalkeeper, and then just nobody reacts. Then there's a header obviously from Kerr, it's creeping in the bottom corner. I think the keeper might be a bit disappointed that he didn't save that. Did they go with a change in between the sticks? Yes, Reyes got the start in this one instead of Bilakapit. Then after that, both teams had some decent half chances, but I just look at the quality in this Peterborough squad and the sheer lack of it for the money that's been spent on there. I know there's potential in there. I think Harley Mills could become a decent player one day. Archie Collins is obviously going to move on, maybe this transfer window, might move on in a free next summer. I think Keane Hayes has got a lot of potential, the big striker up front, but they need some experience in there. I know they've just signed Tom Lees, which I think is a good addition while Sam Hughes is out injured, but they need a bit more. They need a bit of proven quality in there. Clady Lolos came on off the bench and looked bright, so did Lisbeth as well, but they just need a lot more. They need to make 5 or 6 statement signings, or they're going to be in real trouble this season. They could be down there with the Northamptons already, which is not a great thing for their cities, obviously, with them being quite local. But in terms of Wigan, they were very good again, creating chances, scoring goals, doing what they do. They've got a great manager in Ryan Lowe as well. 8th in the table at this moment in time. There's 1 point off of the playoffs. Their only loss coming away to Orient, where obviously they went down to 10 men in that game. Peterborough, bottom of the table, just 1 goal scored, -5 goal difference, 3 straight defeats on the bounce. Yeah, they've not been the easiest fixtures in the world, but you've got to play every team twice, and you've got to be showing more fight in the games as well. They're conceding sloppy goals. It's all well and good if you're conceding 30-yard screamers, but they're so cheap, they're so sloppy for them to be given away. They're yet to score from open play. I don't know how many teams are still yet to score from open play so far, but an awful start to the season for Peterborough. Solid on the whole though for Wigan. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 200 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below on how your team get on this weekend and your team start to the season. 3 games in now, places are slowly starting to take shape. You can't really look into it too much until you're about 8-12 games in, something like that. But after 3 matches, it's enough to start judging teams on how their season has gone so far. But thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all on Wednesday for the next review.